Hi, I'm Renee Vaughn, and welcome back to Voices. We are very excited. We have today two of our most favorite people in the world. Dr. Vaughn and I love the most, or we don't want to say the most because we love a lot of people, but these two ladies are prayer warriors, intercessors. They have leadership positions in an international global organization, and yet they are some of the most powerful, quiet people that you would ever want to meet. So we have with us Mrs. Ingrid Casterlow. And Ingrid, what is your position with Aglow International?
I'm vice chairman of special events.
And we have Mrs. Lorraine Maynard. I want to say also that these are Reverend Mrs. as well.
I'm currently president of the Central North Carolina area, Aglow.
And prayer warriors, because intercessors. And one of the most powerful things that can happen when you're going through any kind of trial, test, crucible experience is to have people that you know that at the instant of a moment, they are already in touch with God. And so even as we're recounting Dr. Vaughn's latest incident of miraculous testimony, we know that you guys were in the middle of it, helping to bring it about.
God always gives you the perfect prayer, so we cannot take personally the credit for prayer. When you spend time with Him, you find out exactly what's on His heart. And as when Dr. Vaughn was speaking earlier, he has a call in his life, and he has something the Lord has told him to finish, and he hasn't completed it. So regardless of what attacks you, until you complete it, you're going to be here. And so he's not through. The Lord even renewed his youth. As you look back through the previous program, you see that his eyes are sharper, his mind is sharper. So he's gung-ho for doing what the Lord has called him to do. And so I'm going to turn over to Lorraine and see if she has something that she want to contribute.
It's great that you say that, because I thought about David. You know, when David was destined to be king, he was still a little boy. And with David being a little boy at that same time, the lion couldn't eat him up, the bear couldn't tear him apart. You know, he knew in his Noah that the utterances had been spoken to him that he's going to be a king. So no matter what came across his path, he knew that he was victorious already over there. So he was able to conquer those giants that came into his life because he knew already that he had a calling on his life, such as Reverend Vaughn.
Well, you know, there are many others that are out there watching Voices, whether they're watching the live stream or YouTube or even the local channels 8 and 18 here in the Triangle area. Okay. But there are many people that are being attacked, that have a call on their lives. And Dr. Vaughn and I were looking at a devotional the other day, and one of the poignant thoughts was that regardless of how much you're under attack or how many things seem to come your way, we have to give credit to God for those things and not to the enemy, because he is not able to do anything to us. We're in a hedge. So we know that God has a plan, even though it may look like it's tragedy or it's an affliction or it's something. We have to look to see, now what is God doing in this? And does he have a miracle that he's working in our lives?
Then being able to tell it. You want to tell it because others build on that, you know, the word of our testimony, the blood of the Lamb. And so, I mean, I know you guys even told us a story that they were expecting you to pray in there because they knew who you were when you walked in there with the authority that God had already given you. And so when you walking in there in the kingship or the priesthood that's already covered over you, for the doctors and the patients and the nurses, all those around you to be affected by just your presence. But we know it's not your presence, but the presence of God inside you. Wow, I think that's glorious. That's something to talk about.
And that's what he wants for all of us, because we are living in the kingdom. So we have the word of God. But as believers and as ministers of the gospel, it's our responsibility to live it out. So if there is no trouble, if there is no strife, if there is nothing like that, well, how are we going to live it? Love is most effective against hate. Love is most effective against fear and unbelief and doubt. So that's when he really wants us to shine forward. And the thing that we really love about you guys is that you know it and you do it everywhere you go.
Well, it was great that when you, thank you first for sharing with us, that part of your life, because when you text us, we immediately say, sending out everybody else, you got to pray, you got to pray, this is one of our faithful ones. And just to experience this walk with you at the same time shows something to even us, because we all need a refreshment in our life at any point in our life. And to look at day one, you guys going into the hospital and you send us the pictures of him laying there in the bed, laying up there quiet. It looked like he was at such a peace. But he in the hospital room getting ready to get his hair cut up. But he's laying there with such a peace. And then the next picture you send it to us, he's sitting in a chair, up and alert. This is day 2. This is God, And then day 3, we're going home. Okay, all right, here we are getting ready to call you guys or to come out and say, what can we do? Doing the same thing that we normally do, but we don't need to do that anymore. We need to walk with the assurance that we know that God heard us. That Jesus said, I know that you heard my prayer, but for the people.
Right.
And so now for the people, we need to walk in the authority that he's given us and have that peace that when we walk, wherever we walk on whatever ground, the utterances that come forth through us will be heard, not only heard, but seen.
I guess we kind of jumped the gun, because basically it all started with an eye appointment because Dr. Vaughn was having problems with his eyesight. And his eyesight is 20/20 in one eye and 20/30 in the other. So he had started having problems with that. So we wanted to get in to see the doctor. And his normal doctor was not there. So he had to see this young woman, really young doctor, ophthalmologist. And as he went through the test, and she did the field of vision and a whole lot of tests, because we were there for 3 hours, she said, well, what the problem is not in your actual eye, it's in the brain, and that's not my area. So she wanted us to rush to the emergency room. In fact, she called over there, and Dr. Vaughn, of course, wanted to talk to his primary care physician, who is a Christian doctor and has been with him over many of the miracles, so she's real familiar with what happens. And so we went to the emergency room, and they admitted Dr. Vaughn so they could run tests. Well, they ran a CT scan first, and then they wanted an MRI because they could see something on the MRI, and it was the size of a golf ball. And so that was Thursday night. So Friday morning, all the specialists come in. They have, the neat thing is that they have every kind of doctor that you can imagine to come in and consult with you. So they did, and the neurosurgeon was the last one that came in, and he says, well, we see something on there, and we aren't sure exactly what the cause of the tissue is. It could be cancerous, it could be this, it could be that. Meanwhile, I have a slot open on Monday morning, and we'd like to take you in first if you'd like to go. And so Dr. Vaughn listened to him, and he talked, and he said, yes, well, I would like to just get this over with so I can get on about my work. And so the doctor says, well, if you go in Monday, you'll be out by Wednesday. And we all laughed, and I thought, this is interesting. So, of course, his stipulation was prayer. So the doctor prayed, the team prayed, and Dr. Vaughn felt led of the Lord, so he scheduled it. So Monday morning, yes, he was supposed to go in at a certain time, and I was on my way to the hospital. So the doctor, the neurosurgeon, held everything until I could get there because he knew we wanted to pray again. And so, of course, this is at the hospital. So they called me on my cell phone. I'm on the bus. The bus went to the wrong place. The bus brought me to the right place. And then I'm running down the hall, and she says, well, don't worry. Everybody's waiting on you. And I thought, oh, gosh. And lo and behold, at the front desk, they said, go on through. The nurse was standing there. Go on through. I rushed back to pack you, they call it, and then we pray. And Dr. Vaughn leads the prayer, and they take him on. All the team is standing there, and they pray, and they go on. So I think that the neat thing is that we are in the era of the Spirit now. And so God is saying, don't be afraid you don't have to act crazy, but don't be ashamed either. Just allow my light to shine. And so we know that this is not us. We know that it is the Spirit. Otherwise, people wouldn't be receptive.
Amen.
But it's back to walking in your authority and your favor because you know who you are in Him. And you know your rights in Him. And so when you represent Him, then the doors open up. You just went past the front desk.
Yeah, because the thing that you find is that God has believers every place.
Everywhere.
Every place. Every place. So you're not, there are very few places that you're going to find that you don't have believers. But the thing is, we have to be exhorted to let our light shine and to speak that word at the appropriate time.
And brain surgery.
Right, right. Because we're all part of the miracle. Right. Everybody that prayed, everybody that forwarded the message, everybody that was at the front desk or entered the name, everybody that touched any element was part of the miracle.
I heard a woman say one time, every prayer counts.
Yes.
It does.
Prayer.